everyone. Hello, and welcome to The Week Ahead, a podcast by SBM Intelligence. I'm your host, Bisolans, and every Saturday we look at some stories shaping our continent. Our first story takes us to Nigeria, where the federal government has just sealed a groundbreaking $3.5 billion agreement with the African Export-Import Bank. But what does this mean for Nigeria's textile industry and the adoption of compressed natural gas vehicles? Next up, we'll take a look at the political dynamics of Rivers State. Clashes between supporters of Governor Fubara and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike, have escalated. What's fueling these tensions, and how does the local government chairman's tenure aspiration play a role? Finally, we cross borders to Ghana, where power outages have hit hard. The West African Gas Pipeline Company Limited plays a crucial role in supplying natural gas to Ghana, Togo, and Benin. But why the disruption from Nigeria, and how can we ensure reliable energy access across the region? Joining me for insights on these critical stories is William Wike, an analyst at SBM Intelligence. Welcome to the show, William.
Good morning, Peace. And I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you. Yeah, so before we dive into the topics for today, I was just curious because I used to pronounce your name as William, but then I heard someone say William, so now I'm confused. So how exactly?
There's no S. There's no S.
Okay, there's no S. I thought I did not put S. So I'm surprised to even hear that I
No,
said.
you're pronouncing it right. That's what
Okay,
I'm
okay.
assuring you.
So William,
Oh,
okay. All right. Thank you. So going to our
you're
first
welcome.
topic. So I'm hearing that there's a $3.5 billion deal between the federal government and the African Export-Import Bank for the textile industry, CNG vehicles, and others. And I don't know what to believe, honestly, because as this news be confirmed by the bank, is it authentic? And I have every reason to hold this news with a pinch of salt because I mean, this administration will vet so much and about they will make announcements and then eventually we hear from the horse's mouth and then it would be false. I mean, thinking of the UAE, they said they lifted the visa ban. Eventually, we heard it was not true. So, has this news been confirmed by the bank itself? And is it just the minister coming out to announce it on her X handle? Is this authentic? What should we believe?
All right, may I proceed?
Yes, please.
So the minister announced it 3 days ago at a conference in Bahamas. So honestly, from my own point, it feels like one of these pre-announcements before something serious is done. However, in her announcement, she made it clear that the purpose of the loan or facility, the $3.5 billion, is to cover two main things. That's the Nigeria gas policy and Nigerian textile policy. However, we don't know how they will apply it because what she said will be done with the loan, or we've been doing it before. Basically, we've had the whole Buhari gas policy and we've not seen how it has been. We've not seen it has not materialized for what has been declared so far. And the textile policy, we keep rehearsing the same policies we've had since the 70s. And I hope that this time they will focus on fundamental issues that first of all, we have issues with cotton farming. Our yields have been flat between 2016 to 2021, really. Our yields were flat. And for a country that needs all the textile exports it can get, our yields must be better than they were 10 years ago, and they aren't. So that is the first thing they have to do. Secondly, you cannot manufacture without electricity. So let's see how it goes. But it hasn't been fully been confirmed, but we'll see. We just have to be aware of it, and we have to be open and see what we do.
All right, so optimism, we'll just have to be hopeful and see it materialize, hopefully. All right, so I kind of think, I don't know, but why is there so much hype around CNG? Since last year, I heard the vice president come to say around July that the federal government would pursue the deployment of CNG in all states for transportation, although it did not specify when this would happen. So why CNG, and why is it a better option compared to traditional for?
It's not better. It's meant to be a feature, not the system.
Yeah.
But in Nigeria, politically, we have a problem whereby when things become hard, we look for easy fixes instead of trying to be better. And this is the new obsession, CNG. Oh, Nigerians can't afford a liter of refined gasoline. Oh, let us have gas. You get it? And we've just completely ignored the fact that Nigerians can't afford fuel because we have a very low GDP per capita, one. Two, we can't even refine it on the state capacity level. So what can we do? Oh, there's gas. Gas does not need so much engineering complexities to refine. So basically, gas will be cheaper if we can withdraw it from the ground and refine it and put it into CNG cars, and everyone is happily ever after. So the obsession comes from the Nigerian side of looking for shortcuts and trying to make things easier instead of trying to fix problems and remain vigilant with those problems so that basically through a maintenance culture so that you don't have to deal with those problems in 10 years. So that's where the obsession comes from. We're just trying to look for an easy way out.
Yeah, speaking of maintenance, do you think that Nigeria really has capacity to maintain this CNG? I mean, like you said, there's this haste like rushing over to something new and something easier. But do we have the capacity to maintain it with this our current maintenance nature and like Adasico attitude towards things? What do you think?
Present Nigerian reality we don't have the capacity to maintain anything. I mean, look at the National Stadium in Abuja. So basically, we don't have like, for example, what you mentioned earlier, the power outrage in Ghana, the West African Pipeline Company came out. They didn't mention the name of the Nigerian supplier that's about to have 3 week maintenance that is going to shut off power in Ghana for about 3 weeks or in some parts of Ghana for 3 weeks. They basically came out to say, look, this is not our fault. We've done our job. Our job is to supply. There's maintenance that has to happen from a Nigerian supplier. And the fact that something as important as politically now, we're not even talking about economics now. Politically, Nigerians important to Ghana right now is to electrify Ghana, supply them with gas. So someone in the Ministry of Power or someone in the presidency or a minister, somebody somewhere, like it's the story of Nigeria. Somebody somewhere is meant to do a tidy work and has not done a tidy work for years. And it has created a culture because there are no consequences for that. So basically everything, all the coincidences we deal in Nigeria are consequences of someone not being tidy. Yeah, I don't know if you understand.
Yeah, that's really sad. And you've kind of gone into another story that we're going to discuss later, but it's fine. So, the World Bank estimates that 49% of Nigerians are poor. And I mean, if this CNG and textile industry thing is so important, how is it going to alleviate poverty? What exactly is it going to contribute to the Nigerian economy?
Anything can alleviate poverty if you look at it holistically and remain vigilant that the systems must align and be entangled. Now, if you want to alleviate poverty and you have access to hydrocarbons and you have arable land, it has to be something that has to work holistically. Back again, we're not working holistically here in the sense that if we want to start with textile, we don't need we don't need any loan or financing facility from a development bank to improve yields. We already have agricultural universities for that. We have technical universities with biology, chemistry department, and we also have your regular university and polytechnic also has chemical and soil science department that can work on this. What we need is sometimes you don't need some things about development. It's not about you can throw as much money as you want at it. If the culture is bad, nothing will get done. We don't have that culture of discomfort and progress, of taking yourself, of doing hard things and getting rewarded for it. Because in the context of Nigeria, we reward bad governance a lot. I mean, look at our president and how he came up to be. So it's theory, fundamentally, can you alleviate poverty? Yes, we have the Bangladesh model. We have Hong Kong that started with it. Now we have Thailand. Now we have India. We have Philippines. We have half of Southeast Asia using textile as a feature of the system, of the holistic system. In Nigeria, holistic system work independently and we just hope for the best. And that is why we are where we are.
Okay. Thank you for that. So, they also mentioned the textile industry, and I know you touched on it before, but
You mentioned what, please? I didn't hear that.
okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Yes. So one of the things mentioned was the textile and apparel industry. And I'm
All
just
right.
wondering, are they going to be funding the people making textiles? How exactly will this deal, I mean, affect those people? Are there structures
All
in
right.
place? Are there specific
So
strategies?
earlier this year, I did a report. Well, I can't remember the person's name. Now, textile industry from political lobbying perspective is represented by the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, and they have a textile committee. And they complained earlier this year that they have so much issues. And what they said was that we don't need more policy. Obviously, we need more oversight, or we need government to take us serious, but we need government to take us serious with things that already exist. And they're basically saying cotton farmers have basically ditched cotton for other cash crops. That is their first problem. Then they have problems with fuel. Then they have problems with electricity. Like I said, it's holistic. So for the minister, if I were in her shoes, that's Dr. Doris Uzuka Anite, if I were in her shoes, the first thing I'd have asked is, what are the existing textile policies, and what are we doing, or what is the government funding, and or how can we change the culture towards outcomes that we want? And everyone has been saying the same thing for years. We just need vigilance, and there's no vigilance, and vigilance requires political will, and political will requires free will. And if every person occupying the same office has not implemented that vigilance, then we're looking at something deeper than what we expect. We just need a proper cultural change, and that proper cultural change has to act by people just understanding the burden of responsibility placed on them. I'm talking about ministers, trade ministers, finance, fiscal and monetary side, and that burden of responsibility doesn't exist. So we're where we are. We're just hoping for the best, but we all know how it's going to end.
Yeah, it's really sad. It's really sad that Nigeria has so many policies, but then in terms of implementation, we are falling.
Yeah, everything falls apart during implementation because
Yeah,
implementation is the hard part. And like I said earlier, once things get hard, Nigerian policymakers look for how to make it easier instead of being better.
yeah. I mean, even with the first subsidy, the announcement, even though it was a good idea, but the implementation was where everything failed. Yeah. So apart from CNG and textile, are these the only industries that this deal will be addressing, or are there other sectors that this deal
So
will
far,
be?
that's what we know of. That's the only serious thing she said in her statement so far. So it's just for us to wait. But basically, it's just going to be the same old, and we'll be back here in 10 years and saying, what do we need for the Nigerian textile industry?
Yeah, yeah. So while we hope that that deal materializes and implementation is done properly, I would like us to go to the next story, which is about the feud between Fubara and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike. So it seems like this is a pattern in Rivers State. I don't know. It seems like this is not the first time that a predecessor will be having an issue with a current governor. Something. What exactly is going on in Rivers State?
All right, now, first thing you must know about Nigerian politics. So Nigerian politicians are fighting for their personal interests. As a non-political actor, the best thing to do is to just watch them fight themselves because fundamentally, they're not fighting for anything that would even improve the life of their gatemen. They are fighting for their access to resources because in Nigeria, there are two ways to get political office. Either have access to resources or genuinely make Nigerians love you, and you have to be watertight. That's like Peter Obi and the rest. Basically, Nigerians vote for you for free. But most people are not. That's like I said, that's the harder thing to do. So the easier thing to do is to come with resources. So when you see two political men fighting like that, they are fighting for resources. Whatever they want to do, it's up to them. In the end, they'll be all right. Let's put it that way. But fundamentally, they should be ignored.
Yeah, and you know what they say about when two elephants fight? It is the grass in front of
Exactly.
them
Just let
that
them fight themselves. It's good. It's good for entertainment. It's good respite. Okay, for us. We are going through a lot.
yeah, so but can you provide some context? I mean, I know that the fight has been on for a while, but what exactly is going on right now? I mean, the recent conflict. And I mean, for example, we heard that local government chairman uh the governor asked them to exit. I think their tenure ended, and then for some reason, about 21 of them don't want to leave their seats. So why is that? Why is that? Why is there this resistance from the local government chairman?
All right, now two things you need to know in Nigeria, politically, economically, basically everything really. There are no coincidences in Nigeria. One. Two, the power of local government violating their own constitutional right to extend their stay is just a symptom of the whole system. And it was made worse by INEC's announcement last year when everyone and their dog knows that um Tinubu did not win in Rivers State, but INEC announced it and the Supreme Court justified it. Now, what the Supreme Court did set a very, very bad precedent, basically saying that there's no rule of law in Nigeria, and that we're experiencing that, and it's just going to get snowball into something much worse if 200 million people are okay with dysfunction. It's inevitable. You cannot, the train wreck, you're going to hit the train wreck. It's inevitable unless you stop, unless you get off the train tracks, and we are all sitting on it. So that's what we're experiencing.
Yeah, but what can you say about the autonomy of local governments in Nigeria? Is it normal for the governor to choose who takes over from?
On paper, the autonomy of local government in Nigeria is watertight. Like I said, it's back to implementation. On paper, everything in Nigeria works as it's meant to work at. It's just down to implementation. And that's the thing about democracy. Democracy requires constant vigilance. We were vigilant with like Obasanjo era. We nearly fell apart with with even him trying to run for third term. But at least we were all right. And I think we're still a bit vigilant with Jonathan, but with Buhari, all bets were off, man. We all took off our masks and said, "This is what we are. This is what we are going to reward." And 200 million people were all right with it. And if you look at those who are not vigilant with the ethos of democratic ideals, it's less than 10,000 people running this. And if 200 million people want to be socially engineered into letting less than 10,000 people destroy their society for them, who am I to say no? Let them go ahead. Let us go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, this conflict has snowballed into death. Recently, we heard of a police and a vigilante dying in a particular local government. How is this affecting the regular people? I mean, the youths and just the regular
Oh,
citizens.
they're excited. They love it. They love it. It's
Oh,
what
they
they
love the
want. Like I
fight.
said, it's respite. It's respite for them. Nobody cares about anything. They just want to see how it's come out for them. And you need to understand that fundamentally, when Nigerians keep talking about a dysfunction, it stops being a problem for them. It's more of a let out for them. It's more of like for their Nigerian side. Yes, let's complain. Let's talk about it. Let's keep talking about it. We all know it's wrong, but we're excited. And a lot of people don't. I think a lot of Nigerians need to be aware of their biases, because are we talking about politics because we are disgusted about what's happening, or because we're excited about it? And we just, that's what it is. People don't care. They just want to be excited. They just want to be entertained rather.
Well, that's a real art check there. Yeah, so there's been this speculation around Tinubu's involvement in this conflict. While I know that he came out publicly, his public posturing has been to try and reconcile the two. But there's this, I don't know if I should call it conspiracy theory around the fact that he might be propping up a particular side for his own personal and political interest. What's your say on that?
All right, now, please, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
If you were president of Nigeria and two grown men are fighting over a state, what would you do? Would you not ignore them?
Yeah, technically depends anyway, but
Exactly. So Tinubu doesn't have to do anything. If between Wike and Fubara, two grown men cannot say, "Look, we're embarrassing ourselves." Why should Tinubu do anything? I mean, he was never elected, if you think about it. And why should he care about that? Now, a normal president would not have even allowed this to even descend to this way. Basically, a normal president would have said, "Wike, this is not your jurisdiction. You're no longer the governor. You do not have you do not have the social powers to even like try this, whatever you're trying to do with Fubara, because Fubara is obviously, I'm the governor. I'm trying to fight for my own autonomy. How can I be a governor in a democratic state and not have my own autonomy, if you think about it fundamentally? And if you're the president, if two grown men cannot agree to being acting like adults, well, why should you intervene? Let them fight themselves. So that's what I would do if I were in Tinubu's shoes.
oh wow. Thank you for telling us that. So I know you touched on this briefly, but I want us to go beyond River State for a while, because I know that generally in Nigeria there's always that thing, godsons, godfathers, there's always this also. I mean, even we heard of recently in Kaduna where Governor Basoni and the former Governor Erufai have been having a tussle. So what are the broad effects of this kind of incidents on governance and political development generally in Nigeria?
It's down to Nigeria's dysfunction and what we reward. Now, if there's an election tomorrow, 99.9% of Nigerians expect that the governor or whoever is running for political office will have the Godfather support, aka access to resources, because the only way you can gain political office in Nigeria is access to resources. Or rather, that's if you want things to be easy, gain access to resources. But if you want to lead, you need to put yourself out there and show Nigerians that yes, it's hard work. Before Peter Obi came out in 2023, we all knew who he was in 2014. It's hard work. You have to start, but like I said, the Nigerian side does not prioritize conscientiousness and doing things tidy. And we see it, and our politicians are just a representation of us. And godfatherism in Nigerian democracy is something that we've all rewarded with our silence, and that is acceptance of saying, yes, this is part of us. This is because culture is what you do. Culture is what you reward. Culture is the things you don't condemn. That's your culture, and this is our culture, and just something we have to deal with it. It's something we rewarded when it came up, and we just let it snowball into what it is to the point that governors are fighting for their own autonomy, when in reality, their constitutional powers gives them they should not even be doing this. Do you understand? So it's basically the society we reward, we get. As you lay your bed, you lie on it, as you say.
Yeah, so let's throw it forward a bit. I mean, 2027, we're going to have another presidential election.
I'm
How
tired. I'm done praying, man. Everybody knows what to do. Me, I'm not praying. No. Everybody knows what to do, and if we don't do it, well, to what will happen if you don't do what you need to do.
Yeah, I was even going to ask how the political dynamics of Rivers will affect, that election. Because I know that it's a real stakeholder when it comes to
It
election.
won't affect anything really,
Oh wow.
because governors in Nigeria, especially South, I'm from the South governors don't lose elections. You don't lose election as actually like your first year in office. It won't affect anything.
Oh wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right, so we'll move to the
You're
last
welcome.
story, which is about uh gas disruption in Nigeria causing power outages in Ghana. Yeah, and so I was kind of surprised. I was like, I didn't know that Ghana as a sovereign nation depends on Nigeria for its power supply. So what exactly is going on with the gas disruption? What exactly is going on with the company supplying the gas? Can you tell us?
Now, in the context of Nigeria, if Nigeria was a serious nation and a serious nation with the largest, we're using the West African context here. Nigeria has more hydrocarbon deposits than any other country in West Africa. Obviously, if you want to gain influence, you gain influence through economics. Basically, you tell countries that, okay, we're going to supply you light and we're going to have monetary policy alignment in the sense that, okay, you pay us in cedis and we get supported in light and our economies work. That's how ECOWAS was meant to work. We or even had basically, if Nigeria was a serious country, we would have had a pipeline from the Niger Delta to Morocco like close to 10 years ago. Culture fully. As in, it didn't have to come to this, to the point that because it's designed to be maintained. So they did not need to do like abrupt 3 week maintenance that would just disrupt power supply in all the way in Ghana. Because let me why I'm saying this is because, please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I lost you for a while. Thank
Every
you.
year in Nigeria, we have a power outage. You always hear about gas. I'm not, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
You always hear about, oh, gas pipelines. That's because already in Nigeria, we are really bad at even sending the gas to our own gencos and, gencos, our own generating companies. If you're bad at distributing light to yourself, of your gas to your culture just has happened to Ghana in the sense that indirectly, in the sense that we are bad at maintaining our own pipelines. Obviously, we'll be bad at maintaining pipelines to Ghana. That's it.
All right. So the last question I'm going to ask you on this is how exactly speaking of West Africa, how exactly can power issues be resolved? Because obviously when it affects Nigeria, it affects Ghana, then it affects Togo, because I think Ghana supplies to Togo.
Yeah, how can it be supplied by just a maintenance culture? That's the start. And it's not something that you will see the results immediately in 1 year. But I'm pretty sure in 5 years, it's something you can see the results just by having the culture to maintain existing infrastructure, it's the best start. Because once you develop the culture, it's like confidence now. Once you develop the ability and the capacity to implement, to fix up your home, obviously you can fix outside your home. You get the capacity won't fall from the sky if you don't develop it. That's basically.
All right. Thank you, William. Thank you. Thank you, William, for participating in today's
All right.
episode. That's all the time we have. And to all our listeners, this podcast is by SBM Intelligence. So for deeper insight
All
into
right.
our
You're
work,
welcome.
please visit our website at www.sbmintel.com. And remember to connect with us on social media. You can find us on X, Facebook, and LinkedIn at SBM Intelligence. So that's all we have for today. Thanks for listening, everyone, and see you next week. Bye.